Hi, shalom friends. So where should we start from? The beginning, right? Someone comes to you and says, I have so much to talk, I have so much to say, I don't know where to begin. So usually the response is, why don't you start at the beginning? So why do we need to start at the beginning? Well, it's quite obvious why. If you don't know where the beginning, if you don't know about the beginning, there's absolutely no way for you to know whether you're lost or whether you're confused. Imagine someone calling up the terminal. Did my plane come in? I'm waiting for my son to come from California. I said, okay. Is it from Northern California or Southern California? Northern California. Which city? Why do you have to know what city? I just want to know if he's here. Well, sir or ma'am, I can't tell you whether they landed if I don't know where they're coming from and what time they left. Oh, yeah. It was so obvious, right? You know, but even in medicine, it's interesting. Often you go to a doctor and you talk about a symptom, and he might ask the question like, when did you begin to feel? So like, what's the difference when I began? My hand hurts. Yeah, but tell me when. He might even ask where. Because the more you know of the beginning, the easier it is to actually figure out where you are now and what it comes. I could go on, but it's also in law, you know, and the classic defense. The guy gets up there and he says, I swear to tell the whole truth or nothing but the truth. I was on the corner and I saw so-and-so do something. And it was at, do you know the time? Approximately 10:15. You're sure? Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. Then the defense lawyer comes and says, may I ask you what were you doing 10:15? Oh, I was going home. And may I ask you where were you coming from? What's the difference? Please answer the question. Well, I was coming from the bar. Oh, do you perhaps remember how much you drank? Actually, I don't. So how do you know it was 10:15? Well, because I remember they kicked me out for making a scene. I was a little high. Okay, yeah, you know where we're going with this. The more you find out the origin, the easier it is to point out that this guy was drunk when he saw what he thinks he saw. Okay. There is a rather famous story about a make-believe town called Hecht. And in this make-believe town, there were many people who were quite innocent, naive, and somewhat foolish. Anyway, in this make-believe town, like all the towns in Europe many years ago, the way you could get from destination A to B was either walking or on a horse, or a horse and a wagon. One day a fellow comes back to the marketplace, or I came from Warsaw, you wouldn't believe what I saw. Well, what is it? I saw 5 carriages moving. And they were heavy carriages. But there was no horse that was leading it. They were just moving by themselves. Impossible. Silly. What do you think we were, born yesterday? I took my charcoal and I made a diagram. I have a picture. I'll show it to you. And he takes out this large diagram, and sure enough, it's a picture of a railroad, and there are 5 cars together. And he says, I saw this machine move, and there are no horses. So they're gazing intently at this picture, and one guy says, I got it. I figured it out. If you look at car number 5, you'll see there's a chain to car number 4, so it's clear. Car number 4 is pulling car number 5. If you look at 4, you'll see the same chain with 3, so 3 is pulling 4. If you look at 3, you'll see it's car number 2 that's pulling it, and then car number 2 is chained to car number 1. The only thing that I couldn't figure out is, where are the horses that pull car number 1? Obviously, what we're talking about is a steam engine. But if you don't know the beginning, you'll never figure out how all of the other cars are moving. So we're so smart. We all know that knowing the beginning is important. Where do we know that from? Well, it occurred to me, we know it from God himself. You know, when you want to give a good speech, you need a good beginning. If you want to write a bestseller, you certainly have to have a good beginning. Otherwise, people won't go past the 2-3 pages. Well, God wrote the book called the Bible, the 5 books of Moses. What's the first book called? You got it, Genesis, beginning. And you know what the beginning of the beginning is? In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And I say, though I say it with a smile on my face, this is a real important statement, to know the beginning of everything. So if we want to know who we are as Jews, we have to know not only that we were once slaves and God made a miracle and took us out of Egypt, but we have to know we have fathers and mothers. We have a history behind that. There's a beginning even to slavery. And then if we want to know today, what are we? Who are we? There's a beginning. It's called Revelation on Mount Sinai. If we want to understand mankind, there's a beginning. God created man in his image and in his form. Every human being has something of the majesty of the Almighty. These beginnings are important. So just having a child grow up in the middle of a story of, well, civilization, whatever that's supposed to mean, or culture, we have to know it's confusing. Looking around, do I want to even be here? But if I know the beginning, that there is a God who created creation, all existence flows from him. And within all of this wonderful, intricate, beautiful creation, there's the specialness of man that has a divine spark. God's breath was blown into him, and he became a speaker. And then suddenly, wow, I am something special. And I'm living amongst extraordinary creatures. So, my friends, knowing the beginning will help us know where we're landing or where we're going. Because in the beginning, especially from Revelation, we are told that this world can and will be a paradise the way it was in the beginning. A world without bloodshed and without sickness and without poverty, without jealousy, without aggressiveness. A beautiful world. It was. That's the way it was in the beginning. That's the way it will be. Maybe matured, but the same concept. So for myself, I'm thinking, how far are we in this journey? If I were to liken our journey to flying, it wouldn't be, we're very close. We already landed. We're actually taxiing. But that's actually the time when we get the most antsy. Sometimes after a 6-hour flight, we dozed a little bit, and perhaps we watched a little stupid TV, and we deal with it. We're stuck. We're waiting. And as soon as we land and we start taxiing, then you see people get agitated. They start taking out their cell phones. And the longer they wait, literally minutes, the more anxious they become. Friends, we've landed. We've landed. The world is ready. Mashiach is about to appear. What we have to do is make these last moments meaningful, significant, and God forbid not to lose hope. On the contrary, to begin to feel the light that's at the end of the tunnel. Shalom.